Right now, you're bored enough to watch a video about boredom. And honestly, that's the most ironic thing you'll do today. Because here's what nobody tells you: boredom isn't natural. It's not some universal human experience that's been around since the dawn of time. Your ancient ancestors? They literally did not have the capacity to feel the way you feel right now. Not because their lives were harder, actually, it's the opposite. They had something you've lost. And once you understand what that was, you'll never look at a lazy Sunday the same way again. Let me hit you with a number that's going to ruin your day. Hunter gatherers worked about 3 to 5 hours a day. That's it. The rest, free time. Hours and hours of it. The Sand People of the Kalahari, the Hadza of Tanzania, the Ashe of Paraguay. Anthropologists studying these groups all report the same thing. These people spend more time not working than you do. So think about that. Ancient humans had more free time than you, and yet, and this is the part that should bother you, they never once sat around thinking, man, I'm bored. How? How do you have more free time than a modern person with Netflix, PlayStation, and a phone that contains all of human knowledge, and somehow you're the one who's bored? The answer starts about 400,000 years ago with fire. Not the fire that cooks meat fire. You already know that story. I'm talking about something way more important: what fire did to the night. Before controlled fire, sunset was a wall. Darkness meant danger. You found a safe spot, you huddled, you slept. The night belonged to predators with better night vision than you. But once humans could maintain a fire through the night, everything changed. The campfire created a 30-foot circle of light, warmth, and safety. And inside that circle, something extraordinary happened. Polly Wiesner, an anthropologist at the University of Utah, spent decades studying the Jew Huanzi Bushmen of the Kalahari. She found that daytime conversations were all business: who's hunting where, food sharing, gossip about resources, practical, efficient, necessary. But at night, around the fire, that's when they became human. Around the fire, the Jew/Huanzi told stories. Not casual stories. Epics. Stories that went on for hours. Stories about the origins of the stars, about trickster gods and shape-shifting animals, about ancestors who still walked the land. Weisner found that 81% of nighttime conversations were storytelling, poetry, or song. 81%. The campfire wasn't just a heat source, it was the world's first entertainment venue. And this wasn't unique to one group. This was universal. Every human culture on Earth independently developed the same pattern: work by day, stories by night. The Aboriginal Australians had their songlines, epic narratives that encoded the geography of an entire continent into song. The Norse had their sagas. The West African griots carried centuries of history in their memories. Storytelling wasn't a hobby. It was the operating system of the species. But here's the part you need to hold on to. These weren't passive experiences. You weren't consuming content. You were there. You contributed. You remembered. You corrected the storyteller if they got a detail wrong. You laughed. You gasped. You argued about what happened next. Every single person in that circle was a participant. There was no audience, only performers. Around 40,000 years ago, someone in a cave in southern Germany carved holes into a vulture bone. 5 holes precisely spaced. We found it in 2009 at Hole Fells Cave. It's a flute, the oldest confirmed musical instrument ever discovered. And it's not primitive. The spacing between the holes corresponds to a pentatonic scale. The same 5-note scale you hear in My Girl, in Amazing Grace, in half the songs on the radio today. Someone 40,000 years ago had the same musical taste you do. Let that sink in. And Hohlefels wasn't a one-off. We've found bone flutes across Europe, ivory instruments in Siberia, percussion instruments in Africa dating back even further. Music wasn't invented by Beethoven. It wasn't invented by anyone. It emerged the same way language did, because humans needed it. Need proof? Look at your brain. Music activates the motor cortex, the limbic system, the prefrontal cortex, the cerebellum. Basically, your entire brain lights up like a Christmas tree when you hear a rhythm. That didn't happen by accident. That's 300,000 years of wiring. And here's the critical difference. Ancient humans didn't listen to music. They made it. Every hand drumming, every voice singing, every foot stomping the ground. There was no separation between performer and audience because everyone was both. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, stories and music, but what about just doing nothing? Didn't they ever just zone out? No. And here's why. When you're not actively surviving, your brain doesn't shut down. It creates. Every human society ever studied independently invented games. The ancient Egyptians had Senet, a board game so old it appears in wall paintings from 3100 BC. The Mancala family of games spread across Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. The earliest known dice were made from sheep ankle bones 8,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. Games weren't just killing time, they were training. Strategy, probability, risk assessment, social bonding, every game was secretly a survival skill wrapped in fun. And then there's the other thing. The thing academics write about in careful, clinical language because they don't want to sound like they're encouraging it. Ancient humans got high, not occasionally, routinely. Fermented fruit, basically low-alcohol wine, was consumed in almost every foraging society. Psychoactive plants were used in rituals across every inhabited continent. The Eleusinian mysteries in ancient Greece, the Soma rituals of the Vedic tradition, the Iboga ceremonies of West Africa. Humans have been deliberately altering their consciousness for at least 10,000 years, probably much longer. Why? Because altered states break the routine. They inject novelty into a brain that craves it. Your ancient ancestors understood something you've forgotten. The opposite of boredom isn't entertainment, it's novelty. So if ancient humans had all this, stories, music, games, rituals, social bonding, and yes, drugs, when did boredom actually start? The answer should make you uncomfortable. Boredom was invented by agriculture. Before farming, your schedule was set by the sun, the seasons, and your own hunger. You woke up when you woke up. You hunted when the animals were active. You gathered when the plants were ripe. Your time was your own. Agriculture changed that. Once you plant crops, you're locked into a schedule. Plant in spring, weed in summer, harvest in fall, store for winter, and during the long empty hours between those tasks, you wait. You wait for rain. You wait for growth. You wait for the seasons to turn. The word boredom doesn't even exist in most ancient languages. The closest thing the ancient Greeks had was acedia, a spiritual listlessness that monks felt when they stared at the same monastery wall for too long. The English word boredom first appears in 1852 in Charles Dickens' Bleak House. Think about that timeline. Humans exist for 300,000 years. Boredom gets a name in 1852. Boredom isn't natural. It's a side effect of a life that asks you to wait instead of live. And now we've made it worse. Much, much worse. You have more entertainment options than any human in history. Literally infinite content. And yet, studies show that boredom has increased since the invention of the smartphone. Researchers at the University of Virginia found that most people would rather give themselves a mild electric shock than sit alone in a room with nothing to do for 15 minutes. Let me say that again. People chose physical pain over the experience of having nothing to occupy their minds. Why? Because passive entertainment doesn't cure boredom. It feeds it. Think about what ancient humans did for fun. Every single activity was active. You told stories. That requires memory, creativity, and emotional engagement. You made music. That requires your body. You played games. That requires strategy and social reading. You danced. You carved. You explored. You fermented. You created. Now look at what you do. You scroll. You watch. You swipe. You consume. You are an audience of one, sitting in a dark room, staring at a rectangle of light that tells you what to feel. You've replaced the campfire with a screen, and the screen doesn't need you. It doesn't ask you to participate. It doesn't care if you're there or not. It just plays. So how do you actually cure boredom? Not temporarily. For real. The answer is sitting in 300,000 years of human history, and it's embarrassingly simple. Create, don't consume. Your brain evolved to make things. Stories, songs, games, jokes, art, relationships, meals, rituals. Every time you make something, even something bad, even something nobody will ever see, you're doing the thing your brain was designed to do. The reason you're bored right now isn't because you lack content. It's because you lack agency. You've outsourced your creativity to algorithms and your brain knows it. That restless, antsy feeling isn't boredom, it's starvation. Your creativity is starving. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you feel bored, don't reach for your phone. Reach for a pen, a guitar, a cookbook, a conversation. Make something. Tell a story. Learn a song. Play a game. A real game with real people in the same room. Do what your ancestors did. Join the circle. Stop being the audience. Become the performer again, because boredom isn't a bug in the human operating system. It's a warning light, and it's telling you that you've been sitting in the dark too long. If this made you rethink your next scroll session, hit subscribe. I make videos about the hidden forces that shaped who we are. And tell me in the comments, what's one thing you're going to create instead of consume this week?